Okay, next thing over here is the dinim of halachos of Shabbos we'll get to. But the next din over here is the dinim of Maariv, Saturday night. Maariv, Arvit, Saturday night. So you try to Davin a little bit later, just like Shabbos you're supposed to Davin a little bit earlier to bring the Kedusha of Shabbos in earlier. So you're supposed to Davin Maariv later. In fact, there's many places they have a minig that the Chazan says, when they say Vaad Rabbonim, just to lengthen it out. Why? Because it says in Sfarim that Gehenim doesn't open. Gehenim is closed for Shabbos. You learned, right? So if you die on Shabbos, you go straight to Gan Eden. Gehenim is closed. So it closes for the 24, 25 hours of Shabbos. So as soon as Shabbos is over, Gehenim reopens. But the Gemara says Gehenim doesn't open until the last place finishes Shabbos. So the longer you extend Shabbos, we'll learn about other things we do during Maariv also. The longer you extend Shabbos, the better it is for the people that are supposed to be going into Gehenim.
So if it's not the Shabbos here in LA, but it's the Shabbos in Hawaii, I'm good?
Yeah, well, I'm talking about the dead people, not the living people.
Gehenim people are homeless in the meantime?
Gehenim, yeah, the people are homeless. I told many times the story. It's interesting story. Rabbi Josh Gordon said that Rabbi Yochanan Gordon was the Gabbai, the Balkerde by the previous Rebbe, the Rebbe. Anyway, so one time he fainted in the middle of a Fabrengen. He fainted. So I told him, took him out. He didn't have to go to the hospital. He was resting. So the Rebbe walked out after Mincha. He was sitting on a bench. So the Rebbe asked him, what happened? So he said, he was witty and he had a very good sense of humor. He says to Rebbe, I'll tell you what happened. I died. But Gan Eden, they didn't want to let me into. Because who am I to go into Gan Eden? Gehenim was closed. So therefore they had to send me back down. That's why I'm still... It was like a witty answer of what happened. But anyway, so Davin Maariv, okay. Now, in the Shemon Esrei, you say, Atochan Antanu. Okay? Which bracha do we say in Atochan Antanu? Which bracha do we say Atochan Antanu in? Which is basically the Havdalah, Ben Kodesh Tochoben or Locheshech, that we say in davening. Why do we say it in the bracha of Cheinin Ados? There's one opinion in the Gemara, it's a separate bracha. Havdalah Saturday night, it's another bracha. Like Aneinu on a fast day is another bracha. So one opinion in the Gemara in bracha says, no, you say Atochan Antonu is a separate bracha. But the halacha is we say it in the bracha Atochan Lodin Das. So the Gemara says the reason is because im ein das havdalah minayin. In order to separate between holy and mundane, you need a little seichel to understand there's a difference between Shabbos and the weekday. So the Gemara says if you have atochin l'adam das, we're asking Hashem for wisdom. So the Gemara says that's the appropriate place to put the bracha, the atochin antanu. Why? Because then we're actually having the intelligence to separate between Chol and Kodesh, or Kodesh and Chol. Another reason brought down in Poskim why we say Atochan Antonu then, because there's a din that you're not allowed to ask personal requests on Shabbos. You're not allowed to ask personal requests on Shabbos. So Saturday night we're already back to asking personal requests, but it's seemingly still Shabbos. You didn't do Havdalah yet. So you do Havdalah in the first bracha of Atochainen, which is after the introductory three. You say the bracha Atochainen, in the first bracha Atochainen, you already say Havdalah, and now you can continue asking all your personal requests. That's the two opinions why we do Atochainen Antanu. What?
For the welfare of the loved one is a personal request?
Yeah. Well, that's what it is. We're asking for tshuva, we're asking for health, we're asking for wealth, parnotza. To call personal requests. What?
I mean, Shabbat, that's not...
I know, there's a lot of certain things we do, and you come porking on Shabbos, we also ask personal requests. I don't know, it's something they say we don't ask, we do this.
2 weeks ago when we were talking about if you make a mistake and you start saying Atochan Antonu.
No.
So we continue because really on Shabbos you are supposed to say
Right, I know that. Yeah, I understand that. But so after, no, the point is after the Chum said we don't do that, so now you're not allowed to ask personal requests on Shabbos. That's what I imagine what it is. It might be wrong what I'm saying, but once the Chum said you don't ask personal requests on Shabbos, so then you're not allowed to.
That's something they were talking about.
Right. Okay, now what happens if somebody left out Atoch and Antanu in the Shemon Esrei? If there's, what? I said you can pork, and I said we do ask. I don't know. Huh? Yeah, but generally speaking, you're not supposed to ask personal requests. Therefore, the text of a Mishaberach for a Chola is different than Shabbat than it is during the week, for that reason. So it's interesting. Some things you don't ask, some things you do ask. I don't know. I don't know.
For Tehillim, for someone...
The Tehillim, you could say Tehillim. Tehillim is Kedusha. Now what happens if somebody left out Atoch and Antanu in the Shemon Esrei? They didn't say it. So if they're still in the bracha, they say it. Once you say Baruch Atah Hashem of Chayin and Ados, you don't go back. You don't repeat it. But when you finish the Amidah, before you're going to do any malacha, you have to say the 5 words, Baruch HaMavdil Ben Kodesh L'Chol, which is a verbal Havdalah, which is sufficient to be able to do malacha. It's interesting, what happens if somebody after Shemon Esrei did not say Baruch HaMavdil Ben Kodesh L'Chol, and they did a malacha? Then the din is, they have to repeat the Shemon Esrei.
Even if they lit a candle for Havdalah?
Yeah, if they didn't say Baruch HaMavdil Ben Kodesh L'Chol, and they didn't say Atoch and Antanu, then the din is you have to repeat the Shemon Esrei.
What about people who don't even keep Shabbat?
Okay. So, you know, I always wondered this thing. I always wondered, if you stop to think for a minute, Shabbos continues until, like for a Frum Jew, right? Shabbos, if you don't say Havdalah, you don't say Maariv, Shabbos can continue. Technically until Tuesday, right? I mean, you know. So let's say Shabbos is over 6 o'clock, okay? So we Davin Maariv, we say Havdalah, 6 o'clock it's over. What happens though, and I can't ask a Jew to do malacha for me on Shabbos, right? So what happens, a Jew is not religious. He never said Kiddush, he never made Havdalah. So now, l'chayda, is it still Shabbos by him? Until when? So now the question is, can I ask a non-from Jew, if Shabbos is over at 6, at 8 o'clock, can I call him? Can I ask him to do something forbidden on Shabbos? Obviously you could, right? Which is interesting. A from Jew who keeps Shabbos, that didn't daven Maariv yet, you can't ask him to do it. And a guy who's not from, and Shabbos is over, so you can ask to do a malacha. It doesn't make sense, but that's the reality. Halachically, that's the... Huh?
Hold us to a higher standard.
What?
Maybe they hold us to a higher standard.
Yeah, I understand.
The more you know, the more you're obligated.
It's all right. The point is, if you have Kedusha Shabbos and you're keeping Shabbos, then in order to stop it, like this, again, a person Saturday night that's not from, okay, not religious. Saturday, he does malacha. Is he desecrating Shabbos? No. I didn't daven Maariv yet. The guy's not from. He didn't daven Maariv. It's 2 hours after Shabbos. He's writing. He's called. Is that called desecration? No, obviously not. I didn't daven Maariv yet. So for people that accept Shabbos, that's the concept. People that accept the day of Shabbos, so therefore you have to break it. How with Havdalah? But if you never accept the Shabbos, then when Shabbos is over, it's over.
What about someone who keeps like Rabbeinu Tam?
Yeah.
So should you be not asking someone to do anything?
If they keep Rabbeinu Tams, then they wouldn't be doing malacha for you.
But you should you be asking?
You can ask them, but they're not going to do it.
Right.
But somebody who keeps Rabbeinu Tam shkia, let's say Shabbos is over 6 o'clock. If you keep Rabbeinu Tam, it's over 6:30. Right. Let's say, right? So now, can a guy that keeps Rabbeinu Tam ask me to do something for him at 6:15? By him it's still Shabbos.
I guess you can.
Can he ask me to do something for him on Shabbos? So, so there's a din, a clear din. The Alter Rebbe has a whole kuntus achron about this in the beginning of Hilchos Shabbos. What happens? A guy brings Shabbos in early. This summer, let's say, right? Somebody brings Shabbos in early. So let's say there's by then there is 6:30. By them is Shabbos. Okay, by everybody else it's 7:30. Let's say, right? So now, can they ask at 7 o'clock? Somebody they forgot in their house. They forgot to do something. Can they ask somebody to turn on the oven, turn off the stove, turn on the urn? Are they allowed to ask somebody to desecrate Shabbos? So in Shulchan Aruch, it says clearly that you could. I'll give you a simple example. It could happen weekly. A woman lights Shabbos candles, 18 minutes before, yeah? The men, there's still men in the house. Now they don't accept Shabbos when she does, right? Then she realized, oh my gosh, the cholent's still on high. I have to make it to low. She can't do it because by her Shabbos. But she's allowed to ask them openly. You could say, why? For her at Shabbos, she's asking a Jew to do a halacha for her on Shabbos. So the Alter Rebbe in Kuntus Achron at the beginning of Shabbos says, because when she accepted Shabbos upon herself, it wasn't in reference to telling people to do malacha. It was for herself, or a man for himself. It was to accept that he's accepting Shabbos, but not to the extent that I can't ask somebody else who didn't keep Shabbos to do it for me. So therefore, let's say Mitzvah Shabbos is over, and let's say you're still having a Shalosh Shudas, Fabring, and whatever, and the guy already Davin Maariv. He said Baruch Hamad. Now, is he allowed to, can I ask him to, and the lights go off, can I ask him to turn on the lights? Yeah, you could. Still Shabbos by me, but by him it's not Shabbos. Okay? There's another issue involved. Let's say, and this happened, a simple example by the Rebbe's Fabring. The Rebbe would Fabring at the end of Yom Tov. Okay? The Rebbe washed before Shkia, and Fabring went on for 6-7 hours. And that was Kaishel Brach, right? So now people used to, from New Jersey, wherever it was, they had to be home for Yom Tov. So the second Yom Tov's over, they make Havdalah and they drive to 7-7. Now, are they allowed to tape, to record the Rebbe? By the Rebbe, it's still Shabbos. Okay, by them, it's not. By him, it's still Shabbos. He didn't have Maariv. He's in the middle of Fabring. It's still Yom Tov. Now the question is, can they record it? I would say tape, but nobody knows what tapes are. Can they record it? Or let me ask another question. Can they take a picture of him? So you're 50% right. So in other words, like this. Taking a picture of him, he's not posing. He's not doing anything wrong. When he's talking, and he's talking into a tape, or whatever it is, so the shaila is he allowed to? So the Rebbe didn't want it to be done. Okay? So I was told, I don't know, that the Rabbi Yosef the Satmar did allow it. I don't believe it. I don't know if he did or not. I didn't see it written anywhere. But so then the shaila is, he's still having Shabbos. So for me to take a picture of somebody after Shabbos, let's say there's a nice Fabrengen going on, yeah? And I finished Shabbos, right? Let's say I did Baruch Hamad. Can I go upstairs and take a picture of the audience? Why not? They're not posing. You can't pose for a picture on Shabbos.
But it's the same thing, like a goy can take a picture of...
As long as you don't pose, why not? You're not allowed to pose for a picture, then you're part of it. If I walk in the street and the guy is taking a picture of me, whatever, I don't have to stop him. He's not doing it for me.
Combining what we talked about yesterday with this. So if you have somebody say on the 8th,
What's like?
Simchas Torah,
Yeah.
right? They celebrate, they're Israeli. Now, I mean, how does all that play in as far as like recording or filming?
That's a different story because of Maariv Sayin. Okay, that's Maariv Sayin.